I'm Hannah, and today we're at the Daiso by Seoul National University Station in Seoul. According to my boyfriend, this is the biggest Daiso in Seoul. If you're not familiar with Daiso, it is a great discount shop that has tons of household items, things for hobbies, lots of art supplies for both children and even adults, and just some all-around really cute and practical stuff. Today, I want to see how much I can buy with just 10,000 won, which right now is about $7.37. But first, I've instantly gotten distracted by their cute seasonal display. They rotate the items here depending on the holiday for each month or time of year. Right now, it may look like it's Valentine's Day, but actually this is celebrating sort of like Family Month and giving thanks. They had actually a really cute display for spring a couple months ago that I think I liked a bit more. Before I go too off my original course, let's first look at the art supplies. I don't really need anything right now, so I'm just going to browse for anything particularly strange or unique. So let's first look around at everything they have in just these couple of aisles, and then I'll start making some decisions. Okay, after some browsing, I think it's time to start choosing. So I'm going to go with these oil pastels, and it's only 3,000 won. I also chose this set of colored micro pens. I also love card size paper and thought about getting both of these, but ultimately I chose the one that has more pages. They also have a nice selection of brushes. I chose to get some flat brushes since currently all I have are soft round brushes. I wanted to get something kind of fun and random, and I saw these rainbow scratch offs, and so I remember doing these in elementary school and thinking they were beautiful, so I decided to buy some. Lastly, I got some carbon paper for only 1,000 won. I'll show you how to use this transfer paper at the end of this video when I try out the supplies at home. So that's 10,000 won worth of art supplies. Now, before we leave Daiso, I think it's important to still do a tour of the rest of the shop. So let's look around. So we just did a tour of the dishware aisle, which is my favorite, even more than the art supplies. I think they have beautiful glassware, ceramics, everything. So next, we're going to look at the storage options they have. They have so many different types of things for storage. I went here as well for my cleaning my art studio video. So let's look around at all the different types of storage they have to offer. Now let's look at the pet section. So I would say most of this is more dog related, but there is some cat toys and things as well. And a lot of the dogs in Seoul are pretty tiny, so some are interchangeable. I've actually bought Zook a pair of tiny sunglasses here. So we're just gonna take a quick browse of the pet section and then move on. Now, the craft section at Daiso is, I think, a great place to test out a new hobby. They have stuff for crochet, felting, sewing, and I'm sure even more. It's just these are the ones I'm familiar with and I use, but everything is for a very cheap price. So you can spend just a bit of money to try something you're curious about before committing to more professional tools and materials. Daiso tour is over and now it's time to check out. The art supplies I bought comes out to exactly 10,000 won. Now I'm back home and let's try out these different supplies. So I'm most excited about the oil pastel set, so let's start there. I really never liked oil pastels as a kid. I felt like they were messy and I had no control over them. But recently I saw the artist Hwawon's oil pastel flowers on Instagram and I knew that I wanted to try something like it. So let's try drawing my own simple flower on the new pad of paper that I also bought. So immediately I feel like I'm drawing with crayons, but it's okay. I tried to add some detail lines to the leaves, but I'm actually not sure if you can layer with oil pastels. I tried layering with the darker blue on top of the flower. I tried to blend it in with my finger, but again, are you supposed to do that? If this is something I want to pursue, it'll definitely take some practice. I'm really glad I only spent 3,000 won on this. Now let's try out the micro pens. We're gonna try it on the new paper. I feel like it's a little soft. Let's compare it with a Copic. The Copic is a little bit of a harder edge, but it looks about the same here. So I want to try out the different markers and compare. So first I did Copic 0.3, then the Daiso pen, and then Copic 0.5. So as you can see, the Daiso one has the most bleed. It's definitely the softest one. But when you really compare 0.5 Copic to 0.4 Daiso side by side, they look about the same. And frankly, it's so cheap for 12 markers. I wanted to compare the paper, and I feel like the best way was for you to just listen to how much thicker the watercolor paper is compared to this Daiso sketch pad. So in order to try out the brushes, I decided to use my own paper because I felt like it wouldn't be an accurate comparison to try it out like watercolor or something, a water-based paint on such soft paper. So I'm going to use my tiny palette, and these are watercolors, and we're going to compare using these new flat Daiso brushes with my own soft, I say soft because they do feel softer compared to these Daiso ones. I didn't buy them as soft brushes, but as you can see, the Daiso brushes are not so great at holding the water. So I decided to try to compare with my own brush, which is not an expensive brush by any means, but I think you can tell that it is taking to the water and the paper much more easily and smoothly. So I'm not sure, maybe it's just the Daiso brushes are not really intended for watercolor. Maybe they would be better for like a thicker paint, like acrylic, or maybe like acrylic gouache or gouache. But for watercolor, I felt like it didn't really work very well. But I am determined to finish this experiment. So here are two flowers side by side. Neither looks so great, but I will say that the round brush was a lot easier to use. Now it's playtime. Let's try out the little rainbow scratchers. It just comes with a little stick, and it came off quite well. It was very smooth, so I was pretty happy with it. And honestly, it was really a lot of fun to make. I was pretty happy with the outcome, and I think it's a fun experiment. And if you have children, it's a blast. Lastly, I got this carbon paper, which is used to transfer a sketch to a canvas or a wood panel, or basically anything that is too thick that you couldn't use a light pad or a light table to see through. So you put the paper face down on the surface you want to transfer your sketch to, and then you put your sketch on top. I'm just using an old sketch I made of like a bondage cake, and I outlined the sketch with just a usual ballpoint pen. So this transfer came out actually way darker than I expected, and I couldn't lift the color at all with my eraser. So I think if I wanted to cover up this sketch better, you would really need to use paint. I decided to try with brush pen. Unfortunately, it just looks kind of messy, but if I was going to use this to transfer and I was going to do layers of like acrylic gouache or acrylic, then I think this would work just fine. So here are some ending shots just by SNU Station. In all, I think I got a real deal for all of my supplies, spending only about $7 US dollars. If you ever come to Seoul, I really recommend checking out a big Daiso. They're fun, and you can get a lot for only 10,000 won. So I hope you come to Korea and give it a try. Bye!